Okay, so we're almost at the end of the workbook, um, the final lessons, and I thought before I actually did a commentary on the final lessons, which is sort of ridiculous when you think about it, because the final lessons are designed to not only go beyond words, but to be as free from words as possible. So it's sort of I'm not entirely sure about a commentary for it. I just read there's no real title to this part. It just has a big sort of asterisk over it. And before you start the final few lessons there, and it's interesting. This is one of the things I was trying to say yesterday when I did the video. Is for me, this really has been a completion in the sense of having gone through the workbook before, and I read in this some of the reasons why you'd really. Okay, I'm not saying you won't do any of the lessons again or you won't pick it up and do, but I'm saying when you read what this says, if you go back and read some of the lessons, it's contradicting what this is saying, and this is contradicting the aim of the lessons, because it's claiming that you've already learned this rather than need to keep on teaching it to yourself. For instance, where is it? Oh, here we go. Let me just take a look at the first paragraph for a second. Our final lessons will be left as free of words as possible. We use them but at the beginning of our practice, and only to remind us that we seek to go beyond them. We're always seeking to go beyond the words because all concepts are false, and salvation can be seen and experienced in the release of concepts. Now, there will come a point in time for each and every one of you, and that's what this is actually saying, that you get you allow yourself to be put in a position, and it's going to look like something in space and time, but it's going to feel like a particular sort of impasse within your own emotional, psychological, and mental life. It's going to feel very familiar, and there's a moment when the ability for the concepts to fall away becomes simplified because your desire to no longer live under, and how did I say this, under the false perceptions that the concepts place upon you and then imprison you by. There's going to come a point in time when everything is set up for you to just say, I can't go do this. And in that instant, you will release yourself from the need to conceptualize your experience, and you will experience salvation. And what this is going to go on to say is each and every one of us walks this path, and each and every one of us must go this way. Why? Because we share the same mind in any mind. And let's look at it this way. The history of space and time is the fragmentation of the mind of the Holy Son of God, lost in a dream, not of his own making. And the fragments are all part of the whole mind of Christ. So they must, once the return has happened, the totality of the return has occurred. Now we can live in that if we can free our mind from the concepts that keep us locked in a linear understanding of space and time, and allow us to be much more free to be, how do I say this, to not be afraid of what is available for us to be shown in the vast magnitude of the awakening that's occurring. To him we leave these lessons. Let us turn to him who leads the way and makes our footsteps sure. To him we leave these lessons, as to him we give our lives henceforth. For we would not return again to the belief in sin, which made the world seem ugly and unsafe, attacking and destroying, dangerous in all its ways and treacherous, beyond the hope of trust and escape from pain. Okay, now, if you go back and read the initial lessons where we're talking about learning how to undo our misperceptions, what you will find is this is saying that you've already learned how to escape those and have done so. Why would you impose learning that allows regression back to a condition you've already left behind when it's not necessary, because your belief that these lessons work and the trust that you have in the mind that's offering them to you is all you really require to join in a non-conceptual way and be way beyond the words in any instant. His is the only way to find the peace that God has given us. This is why many people, this is why these sentences are, and why there are people who won't make the commitment to continue in following in these ways, because they can't accept, nor can they allow in their own mind and heart for the truth of this, because they want the ego. The ego remains intact when it thinks there's another way. And for some reason, it's not popular to say, listen, there's only one way out of the dream, and that's through forgiveness and awakening to God, because that seems to be non-accepting of a billion zillion paths that are going nowhere. It's not, kindness isn't in allowing people to wander aimlessly when you see the simplicity of the ability to help them end their search, if that is what they so desire. It is his way that everyone must travel in the end, because it is this ending God himself appointed. In the dream of time, it seems to be far off, and yet in truth, it's already here. It's already here, already serving us as gracious guidance in the way to go. Let us together follow in this way that truth appoints to us. And let us be leaders of many brothers who are seeking for the way but find it not. Yes, that's what I'm saying. There are such things as leaders. The way you lead is not the way the ego has taught leadership. The way you lead is through the demonstration of your ability to follow, and in the joy and freedom in your energetic reassociation that is quite attractive to others. That's why at some point in time, you must begin to see the totality of the commitment necessary and be willing, the willingness, how do I say this? The old man used to say this. Reality is a constant confrontation. So in the sense is awakening. Awakening is a constant confrontation with the truth that you do within your own mind. Okay? If you cannot allow for the confrontation, there's no way you can participate in the confrontation. And at some point in time, there are going to be brothers who need you to stand firm in your commitment, and that is going to look like a confrontation to them in their own mind and hearts, in their need to decide. Okay? And to this purpose, let us dedicate our minds, directing all of our thoughts to serve the function of salvation. Unto us, the aim is given to forgive the world. It is the goal that God has given us. It is his ending to the dream we seek, not our own. There you go. I know many people think and would like to think it could end in a way other than is being presented to us here, but it is not possible. And the reason it is not possible is because it's already ended in that way, and so we must be true to the script that has been written by the decisions that we made that allowed salvation to be made manifest. It is our function to remember him on earth, and it is given to be his completion in reality. There we go. There's a parallel line that's being drawn, that we're being offered, whereas forgiveness here parallels creation there. And as we forgive and integrate, we actualize who we are in our ability to know God here, and then heaven and earth cease to seem to exist as separate states. Okay. We will not end the year without the gift our Father promised us, promised to his Holy Son. Do you hear that line? We will not end the year. We will not end this year without the gift our Father promised to his Holy Son. We are forgiven now. Your ability to accept that you're forgiven now and you've received the gift that God would have you receive based on your willingness to take and dedicate this year to what he has given is negated if you think you need to continue to do this in order to receive that gift. Do you understand that? It's important. People think it's semantics, but it's the action of your mind. You're thinking against yourself and going against the nature of what's already been offered, so you cannot accept the offering and be in the condition of rejecting it at the same time. We come in honesty to him and say we did not understand, and ask him to help us to learn his lessons through the voice of his own teacher. Would he hurt his son? Or would he rush to answer him and say, this is my son, and all I have is his? Be certain he will answer. Be certain he will answer. You understand that? Give yourself the benefit of the certainty of the fact that he has answered by not repeating the question over and over again in a determination that because of some sort of need that the ego is telling you that needs to be fulfilled based on following the herd, that the need for you to continue to think the way you're thinking is over. And because you no longer think that way, you no longer have to. You can go on. You can move ahead and begin to experience the personal lessons where the love of God is made personal to you in your own heart and mind. And you begin to understand that nothing that's ever occurred here has ever affected the reality that you were created to create, and you as you were created to create it. So we're going to let it go for now there. And tomorrow we'll take a look at these last couple lessons. That'll be it for the year. Remember, you are God's son, complete and healed and whole. There's a promise being fulfilled in you. Let that promise be fulfilled in you by giving yourself the space and the time wherein which it can be filled. Don't rush to ritualize that which was given to you, to go beyond the ritual of words and reassociate and re-enter your own being in your awareness to the condition of the acceptance of the reality that you never left.